Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of Corpse Party Book of Shadows. Before we start Chapter 3, I have something of a surprise for you. See, in Chapter 2, let me show you. We're back here with Nana. See, remember when I picked up the notebook and that student ID earlier in the chapter? Well, it turns out you destine yourself for a bad end if you do not pick up the notebook. I didn't, so far, everything leading to this point has otherwise been the same. So when I remove bandages, I'm going to press start and skip through repeated dialogue, but otherwise, we'll see what new stuff comes up. So far we're saving her. Everything we've seen before. Now remember, when it stops blazing through the dialogue, that means that there's new material. So I'm not going to accidentally skip stuff I've already seen. So Nana goes with Mayu. Yeah, didn't take me very long to get to this point in the chapter, by the way. Look at the speed. And look at just how much dialogue there was. Okay, so now that we're here, I guess now it's really the new stuff. So what I need to do is, let's see, I gotta read a fact. Oh, here we go. Okay, so all for the bad endings. We're only missing 2 bad endings, you know? Okay. So I'll go attempt to go past classroom 2A and we'll see something new, it appears. Though this board's no longer spanning the hole, it's unclear what happened to it. Maybe it fell in or someone took it. Huh. Either way, it's no longer possible to continue down the hall from here. Are you serious? It should be we ladies, but yeah, fine. So do I need to go back to the locker room again? Well, can't go past that way, but I can still go north. So there aren't many steps left, really. There's only a couple things left to even do. So, we go here, but we only have the rusty key, so we cannot yet open the door. Although we do have the box, so maybe this will play out like normal. It's locked. There's the rusty key. Yeah. So this is new dialogue? Yeah, is it? Oops. This is different. Okay. Wow. That's kind of cool. Alright. Teaching about breaking the rust off the key, uncovered a label on its grip. Science lab! Oh my god. Yes, that settles that. Seems like a handy key to have. Oh my god. Oh. Yes. Okay. This changes everything. We can no longer access this place, because we're not concerning ourselves with the chest. But, we have the science lab. Well, we still need to get the bandages from the locker room, so I'll make that quick. No more holy water. Just go ahead and do it. Which way was the locker room? I guess it's Yeah, I guess it's further down. Alright. Sorry, I'm looking all over the map here. Oh my god. The science lab. Remember that play? We didn't see that until chapter 4? Maybe 5. In the first game. Where that Kizami statue just murdered our asses. Good times? Huh? Anybody? Okay, well if that's no good, then might as well just move on. Locker room, that's where I want to go. I'll get my bandages, I'll move along, I'll skip through the dialogue unless there's, of course, different dialogue. Let's see what happens. So here they are. Different. Alright, let me press triangle to get rid of that start thing. There. Yeah, take them. I gathered them up, handed them to Kishinuma. He obediently pulled them taut. This seems the same. Yeah, it's the same. I guess it's because it's a different situation. They don't make me loop it. Yes, it's the same thing. Okay. Now we change things. Oh, this is gonna be delicious. This is going to be delicious. And both wrong endings are concerned with this point, I believe. And here's the question. Are the endings going to be worse than the real ending? Mm-hmm. That's a good idea. Okay, it's getting to the point where I think things are gonna change, so let me go ahead and save. Alright. What a beast. Love this guy. Huh? Fair enough. Be careful. Oh. Is it the Hammerman? Oh my god. Yeah. Less dialogue to skip through, you know? Ooh. For about as much time as it took a single shiver to run up and down a person's spine, the hallway was completely silent. Then, the moment Anna's foot left the floor on the other end of the hole, there was an abrupt, almost exaggerated spray of blood. The back of the strange, bloody-eyed man's massive hammer had come down hard, roughly splitting through not only the rope, but both of Nana's legs as well. So he cut off her legs with a hammer. How goddamn strong is this guy? More than anything, I wanted to look away. I wanted to look away from those desperate, tear-filled eyes, that shocked, pained expression, not to mention the sight of Nana's dangling torso with nothing at all left below the thighs. Really? That's what I said last time. Yeah, we sure do. This is gonna get ugly. You think you could jump with that zombie-ass body of yours? I love this guy. Guess we're here now. I can't believe they kept her alive. Yeah. I know. Let's go to the infirmary. Well, I am tempted by that science lab. Oh yeah, that. Whatever that kill thing was in it. Ooh. I'm sorry I keep saving the middle of this, but there's gonna be a point where I have to run. Mm-hmm. I have two potential endings. And there's only two places for me to go. So... he just came down the stairs. Can I, like, kill the timer and go back toward the guy? Ugh. Looks like I can. The bloody-eyed man raised his right leg, then quickly brought it down to Nana's stomach, pinning her to the ground and forcing blood from her wounds. Ugh. Ooh. Those sounds are always terrible. A few stomps later, what looked to be gastric juices began spewing from Nana's mouth, and her momentary consciousness was cut short as she passed out again. Oh, thank God. This didn't stop the man from continuing his stomping fit, however. He was putting his whole body weight into every blow. And remember, this guy's a big guy. I could hear the sounds of bones breaking. Nana's chances of survival were lessening with every passing moment, and they weren't good to begin with. What could I do? Yeah, fair question. I wanted to save her somehow, but I couldn't even move. Ooh. Kishinuma's attempt to save Nana was short-lived. The bloody-eyed man swatted him back like a fly, and he immediately fell through a hole in the floor. Okay. Are you serious? Oh, it's her. Yep. Actually, yeah, isn't this why this... Yeah, this... Wow. The wrong ending is the canonical ending. Okay, well there's only one other option. First I'll save, of course. 5. Good. Only one more, and that's actually getting in the science lab, and I have no idea what happens there. Then again, I didn't really have an idea what happened here either. Okay. I'm really loving how the wrong endings are like not as bad as the proper endings. Some wrong endings anyway. The torture room scene was just god-awful. Okay. Let's get moving. Gives you a whole minute and a half to do this. Yeah. Too bad I have the key this time. Wow, the timer still's counting down. Like, I have time, but... Character dialogue. Okay.
とりあえずは安全か。でもあのデカブツ、斧みてえの持ってやがったからな。ドアが破られる前にこっちもなんか武器でも探さねえと。
その前にナナちゃんの手当てを。何この匂い。
I got no idea about this one. I can play? Not much to see here. There's a corpse, that's probably the trigger. Nothing. Alright, corpse time. Dead body bound to a chair with wire by wrists and ankles. Based on the height and uniform, junior high. Oil over her head, hot oil, burning everything above her chest into a blackened, unidentifiable mess. Ugh. The only discernible facial feature is a missing tongue, and that's only because the stump is still faintly visible through her broken front teeth. Jesus Christ. The wire around her wrist seems to have really dug into the skin, too, and ankles, suggesting she put up a hell of a fight before taking her final breath. Well, that answers question number 2 about her friends. One left. There's Nari. Oh. Ooh, not the time. Yeah, there was a third person with you, right? Maybe she's okay?
もういないかもしれないよ。
Never mind. I'll wrong in with Sajiko. This will be delightful. Ugh.
これなんだ？
Okay, let's see if I can play. It is a giant man. What do I win? It was a little girl with matted, oily black hair spilling down her shoulders and over her chest, and she was holding something under her arm. Oh, this ought to be delightful. As she drew out the vowel in her sadistically playful question, she triumphantly flourished this object, revealing it to be a human head. Was this the third of Nana's friends, perhaps? A girl's head, perfectly uniform bob framing her face, looked like the quiet type. She is now. Her mouth was hanging half open, trails of blood stained under her chin, and once again the tongue was nowhere to be found. Okay, question answered. Sorry I asked.
これ千早ちゃんって言うんだ。ん？千早ちゃんは何度も何度も呼んでたよ。なーなちゃん。なーなちゃん、私死んじゃった。どうして助けに来てくれなかったの？
The girl in the red dress thrust her hand up into the neck and was moving. Wow, that's dark. Not even kidding, I figured she was moving the mouth, but I didn't think up into the freaking neck. Come on. Oh no, those were the two names from before. So did she come with three friends, or is the third one just up in the air? With those words, Nana lapsed back into unconsciousness on Kishino's back. Thank you. Never again to awaken. Terrible way to die, but at least it's over for her. We, on the other hand, I think are going to be a little less lucky. As for me and Kishino, we knew the chase was over. There was nothing left to say. We just stood there, petrified at the thought of what was yet to come. Oh, they don't even show you. Okay. Thanks for that. Ugh. That could be anything. God. That should be all of Chapter 2. Perfected. Chapter 3 also offers a lot of problems. I will hazard the opening scene of Chapter 3. Hopefully it won't take like an hour. We'll see what happens. Encounter. I know it will be, but please don't be Yuka. Please don't be Yuka. Please don't be Yuka.
天神5番地のこれ23だよな。それとも33か？まったく山崎先生の字は読みづらいな。
Oh god, flashback. This really wasn't my day. I knocked over my alarm clock this morning, and of course it stopped working. The very last pork sandwich sold out right before my eyes during lunch, and I was roped into a favor when I happened upon my homeroom teacher, Mr. Yamazaki, long after the school day had ended. So now, like it or not, I was on my way to deliver some notes to Miss Yue, our homeroom TA, who was out sick with a cold.
ユカに謝らないとな。今日は早く帰って ゆかの買い物に付き合ってやる予定だったし。天神5番地23の11。ここか。これが6番地33の77とかじゃなければ。だけど。
I stopped and compared the memo in my hand with the apartment building in front of me. It was 2 stories tall and looked a little on the shabby side. Probably about 20 years old. It didn't seem very solid, nor was it particularly stylish or chic. It was a completely and remarkable structure in every way.
この207号室。いや、201?
I was really getting fed up with his handwriting, and from a teacher no less. In any case, it seemed certain that the apartment was on the 2nd floor, so I trudged up the startlingly narrow, steep stairs. The metal staircase was thoroughly blotched with patches of rust. Why would someone live in such a rundown apartment building?
先生の給料ってもしかしてすごく安かったりするのか?
Totally beat me to it, Satoshi. I felt a little sorry for her, but in a way this place kind of fit her personality. With that thought in mind, I turned my attention toward apartment 201.
ここが201号室か。でもゆい先生の家じゃないな。
The door plate for the room nearest the stairs had a name I didn't recognize scribbled on it.
ってことはこの奥か。
Passing 201, I continued down the narrow I continued down the narrow walkway toward the end. Wandering alone around an apartment building I'd never been to before made me feel kind of nervous. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong, but my back still tensed up as I maneuvered around piled up strollers, plastic toys, and bundles of newspapers. And then, finally, I arrived at the last door.
ここだ。
This was it. I breathed a sigh of relief. The door plate for apartment 207 read, Shishido. For an adult's handwriting especially, the letters were rounded and overly cutesy. This was Miss Yui's place, alright.
なんだろうこれ。
I leaned in to read something written in small script on the corner of the door plate.
大病注意
She would.
って猛犬注意じゃなくてゆい先生らしいや。
So how exactly does one beware a house cat? Is it even possible for a house cat to be threatening? Hey, give you $1 million if you remember the name of the cat in the first game. Time's up. It was Monet. At any rate, I'd confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was Miss Yui's place, so my errand was nearing its end.
それにしても山崎先生もひどいよな。風邪ひいたクラスメートにプリント持っていくならわかるけど、風邪ひいた副担の先生のうちに授業のノートを届けろって。絶対におかしい。間違いなくこれ担任の仕事だよ。
He said he was busy with meetings, though, and he really needed one of his students to help him out. But was it really okay to entrust a school student with confidential class notes?
生徒が読んじゃまずいノートなんじゃないのか?
My mind kept drifting from one question to another, and I became acutely aware of the inherent value in these notes I held in my bag. But tempting as it was, I just couldn't bring myself to look at them. Mr. Yamasaki put his faith in me, after all, and I was stronger than that. I couldn't let this get the best of me. At any rate, I was here. I should have just been able to drop off the notes and be on my way. Putting all my doubts and misgivings aside, I rang the doorbell. And then I waited and waited and waited some more, but there was no answer.
俺、呼び鈴をしたよな。ゆい先生!
I rang the bell again and also tried calling out, but there was still no response.
どうしよう。寝てんのかな。起こしちゃ悪いけど、でも心配だしな。
When we heard that Miss Yui was staying home sick today, we were all pretty disappointed. That's why part of me was actually a little happy that I was asked to run these over to her. I figured I'd be able to check in, see how she was doing, and let everyone at school know she was feeling better.
けど会えないっていうのは想定外だったな。ゆい先生! ゆい先生! 反応なしか。ゆい先生、すみません。
She was probably sleeping, or out at the doctor's or something, but what if she were hurt? I tried opening the mail slot and peeking in. I thought maybe I could get a glimpse of the room inside.
ゆい先生。
It felt kind of wrong peeking into someone's house without their permission, but I was legitimately worried about Miss Yui's health, so my conscience was clear on this one. I knew it.
ああ、猫。
A well-groomed cat was facing the door and staring back at me. With its head tilted slightly to the side, it let out an adorable meow. This must be the cat I was instructed to beware, and since Miss Yui was always going on and on about her little buddy, I was pretty sure I remembered his name.
この子が噂の
Nope.
モレじゃなくて
Mm-hmm.
確かそうだモネちゃんだへえ綺麗な猫だな
Miss Yui talked about her cat a lot in class, so pretty much the whole school had heard of him. She even had some tins of cat food hidden on a shelf in the classroom. I remember that, probably because she bought too much and had no room for them in her apartment.
モネモネ先生はいるか先生がいるんだったら起こしてきてほしいんだモネ頼むよ、やっぱり無理か
My shoulders sank. I felt defeated. What the hell was I doing? I closed the mail slot and stood back up.
弱ったなゆい先生どうしたんだろうどっか外出中とか空いてたりしないかな
Lost in this speculation, I placed my hand on the doorknob, and with a quick twist, I turned it and pushed on the door, opening it easily.
え
Huh?
鍵かかってないのかってうわいけねえモネが出たら大変だ
Ooh, that would suck.
お前のご主人様は不用心だな
Moni's whiskers twitched as I called out to him from the entranceway.
なんだその通りだにゃって
That is terrible. Ugh. You know, I love my bad puns, but that's pretty bad.
モネもやっぱりそう思うか
This is just perfect. Well, at least we're in the house, meow. Here I was talking to a cat. Was this what I'd become?
どうしよ
I was feeling pretty uneasy. Not only had I peeped into someone's home, I'd walked in without a second thought. Moreover, this is where Miss Yui lived, alone. In other words, a woman's apartment. No matter how many times I reminded myself that I was here on an errand, I couldn't help feeling that I'd not only crossed a line, but leapt over it.
うゆい先生
I tried calling her name one last time, but as expected, there was no answer.
本当にどうしようかな
Oh, I think I know how this scene goes. Doesn't he make a Pop-Tart and then shoot John Travolta? I was trying hard to avoid being too nosy, but my eyes inevitably began surveying the room. The apartment entrance led out immediately into the kitchen, and beyond that there was a sliding door to some other room. I could see light through the gaps. I strained my ears, but there was nothing to hear. No signs of life whatsoever. Miss Yui really must have been out. One more time. I tried calling out to her one more time just to put my concerns at ease. I felt like I'd seem even more suspicious if I stayed silent.
ゆい先生持田です
Still nothing. Maybe she was asleep on the other side of that door.
確かめてみいやいやいやいや
This keeps going. Shaking my head furiously, I cast that sudden impulse. That was a terrible idea, pure and simple. Entering the apartment unannounced was bad enough, but walking all the way in, opening that sliding door and peeking inside, that was just too much.
このタイミングでゆい先生が外から帰ってきたりしたら俺結構まずいじゃなくてだいぶまずい
Plentiful, dense, scalding water. Monet mewed as if in agreement. Panicking, I once again surveyed my surroundings. I almost felt like there were eyes on me, staring with disdain. But of course... Jeez. But of course nobody was there.
あそうだ書き置きを残していけばいいんじゃないか
Wondering why I didn't think of this sooner, I dug into my bag for some paper and a pen.
山崎先生から頼まれたのでって書いておけばいいんだよな俺のノートでいいや
That cat. Crouching in the doorway, I ran my pen across the page. I brought class notes at Mr. Yamazaki's behest. Wow. Who would write that? Everyone has been worried about you. Sorry about barging into Your apartment.
あと不用心だから
ね
鍵はかけた方がいいと思いますと。
As I was writing a note, I sensed a presence in front of me. I knew it. She left the door unlocked on purpose. Until just a moment ago, this house had no signs of human life in it, but now I could feel someone standing directly ahead. Standing and looking down at me. It's the Hammerman somehow. Fidgeting nervously, I put down my pen, raised my head slowly, and saw a white, slender ankle. This music, Jesus Christ. Just so out of it. Shocked, I shot my head up and there, standing before me, was Miss Yui. With cutesy panda pajamas.
Sensei.
Man, I'm so hungover. She was looking right at me, but she seemed decidedly out of sorts. Her hair looked disheveled, her gaze was unsteady, and her pajamas were in complete disarray. She was like a completely different person from the usual kempt educator we'd come to know and love. It's the first time I've ever seen kempt written. You hear about things being unkempt, but kempt, there it is. Just like burgle. This game's kicking ass with its vocabulary.
ゆい先生、俺勝手に入っちゃって。
I stood up frantically and held out the note I'd been writing. But... Miss Yui was just standing there stupefied with a completely vacant expression on her face. Damn, she's out sick alright.
先生。
I called out to her as gently as I could. He's gonna get smacked, just because she doesn't even know who he is right now. But... she was really dazed. She seemed almost like a ghost.
先生、どうしちゃったんだよ。
I had a sudden uneasy feeling. Worried, I walked up to Miss Yui, grabbed her shoulders, and tried to snap her out of it by shaking her. Bad idea. But instead...
うわ。
this just seemed to make her cough. Forget corpse party, man. Satoshi's gonna freaking die of illness. This is horrible.
先生。
Those were wet, productive coughs, and spit was shooting out of Miss Yui's mouth with each one. I frantically tried to shield my face from the spray, but my reaction time just wasn't quick enough. Ew! I put a hand to her cheek and found it thick with a slimy film of saliva. Jesus.
大丈夫？ゆい先生。
Miss Yui hobbled back a little, then fell to her knees with a thud. She had completely sprawled out in the hallway, moaning and groaning the whole time.
先生。
This is so awkward. Wiping the spatterings from my own face, I leaned over and took a better look at hers. It was bright red, strained breathing, a stuffy nose, and a visibly high fever on top of it all. She was sick as could be.
寒いの？でも汗かいてるよ。
I thought maybe her sweat had cooled her down, but then realized her disheveled pajamas certainly weren't doing her any favors. With heart pounding a mile a minute and face red as a traffic light, I set about buttoning her up. That's awkward.
ゆい先生、俺のことわかる？持田だよ。寒いならちゃんと布団で寝ないと。でないと治るもんも治らないって。
She absentmindedly extended her shaking arms like a zombie, slowly reopened her eyes and looked up at me. It was the gaze of a severely fevered mind.
ゆい先生、
Oh god, this is awkward. Who the hell is that?
え？うわ！ え？
I didn't know she liked .hack sign. Miss Yui was clinging to me tightly. I couldn't move. I was frozen in shock. She began to weep. Wow. Like, this is the worst situation.
来てくれたのね、司くん。
つかさ。
嬉しい。よかった。
先生待って、人違いだよ。
It seemed like I wasn't getting through to her at all. This sucks. I had the sensation of her chest as she held me was making it virtually impossible to fight her grip. I was utterly powerless against this opponent. I never realized before just how soft a woman's chest really was. Oh god. Keep going, Satoshi. God, am I that weak-willed? I had to remind myself that Miss Yui had me confused with someone else. Also, she's an adult. Mustering all the strength I could, I gripped her arms and tried to pry them off of me. But she was a lot stronger than I anticipated, and wouldn't let me get away. You kidding me? She's a freaking brick. She just pushed that shelf off of her. She was holding people with a broken arm in that, room with a dropping floor for some reason.
怖かったよ、司くん。怖かった。
怖かっ
まさか来てくれるなんて思わなかった。
た。うわ
Flustered yelp. As she squeezed me tightly, I felt as though my upper body might collapse under the pressure of her softest parts. I was blushing uncontrollably. You know, strangled yelp? Every other time they actually type out what the words they're saying sound like uag or whatever. I'm surprised they didn't even do that one.
ゆい先生、ちょっと離れて。
No.
先生ってばー。
I struggled to wiggle free, but Miss Yui only grabbed me tighter. Our bodies were getting more and more intertwined. Ugh. And every time I squirmed, Miss Yui would just pull me in even closer.
司くん。
うわ
I didn't ask for this. As her chest rose and fell erratically, droplets of sweat slid down her cleavage. Keep going, Satoshi. I could feel the heat of her fever radiating off of her steadily encroaching face, as well as the shoulders had grabbed in an effort to push away.
そばにいて、司くん。お願い。
You know, Miss Yui played this totally straight in the classroom. How did they get out of this situation?
だから人違い。
Questions were swirling around in my head. Why was Miss Yui crying? Who was this Tsukasa person? But I was most concerned for the state of her pajamas, which had become even more disheveled during our struggle.
先生、パジャマ、ズボン。ずり落ちてるから。
司くん。あったかい。
Ugh.
ゆい先生ってばー。
Realizing that not a single word was getting through to her, I sighed resignedly. I'd taken care of Yuka any number of times when she caught a cold and drawn a fever, but I don't recall it ever getting this bad. Also, she weighs 10 pounds. Miss Yui's apparently a monster. Miss Yui was usually calm, collected, and rational. Who would have ever imagined that a fever could leave her so thoroughly discombobulated?
ゆい先生、ちょっと。もう。
I put more strength into my resistance, and finally her arms relaxed just the tiniest bit, but her expression changed drastically.
やだ。
先生、俺は持田聡で、司って人じゃ。
行かないで。やだ。
Miss Yui was acting like a spoiled child. Slipping out of the shoes I'd still been wearing, I again drew close to her sprawled out form. There was no way I could just leave her here like this.
後で気がついて、怪しまないでくれよ。
No kidding. Miss Yui let out a lethargic groan, perhaps in response to my quiet murmurings. At my wit's end, I grabbed hold of her and did my best to carry her into the back room. Gently wheeling her over to the unfurled futon, I then carefully laid her down, making sure I didn't drop her in the process. Then there was the matter of rebuttoning those pesky pajamas again. I hesitantly pulled up her pajama bottoms and brushed away the stray hairs that were plastered to her brow with sweat. I'd done my best to avoid seeing anything I shouldn't, but I am a guy, so my heart was pounding the whole time. Miss Yui's pajamas were soaked through with sweat. She really might have been better off with a change of clothes altogether. Please don't. Okay, but no, they've been going way too far.
タオルとか何か拭くものでもあればって。
Noticing a convenience store bag carelessly tossed to the floor, I glanced inside.
なんだ、冷却シート買ってきてあるじゃん。なんで使ってないんだか。 先生ヒヤッとするけど我慢してね。